When you don't forget that you are consciousness, you are always living spirituality. Now, spirituality is a way of living with meaning and connection beyond the solo self. So that means that I know how to love myself first. Self love is important because otherwise I won't have my whole 1 year old or my whole 3 and 7 year old or my 11, 12 year old or my 14, 15, 16 year old. Those are all the charged states, our child parts, and the freeze. Let's not forget about that. Okay, so I'm attachment trauma informed, but remember, I'm a 5D mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group. There's no laundry here. There's a window of welcome because I love personal development and self help. That's why I'm here to say you can be yourself. But that's if you get out of having this shame, defectiveness, heartbreak, gut wrench, torn apart feeling of what is childhood trauma. And there's different degrees of it and different mannerisms. Okay, so if you have rejection, abandonment, injustice, betrayal, humiliation / shame wounds, that is why you're going to say, no, Marie, I can't be myself. I'm going to be somebody different. Okay, well, first of all, is that a feeling from here? And what's the story of your left mode? Did you know that your 1 year old and you as a human, the last 3 months of the fetus stuff is what counts? So I'm attachment trauma informed. I don't want to bore you, but there's really great academics out there that I learned from. There's an ICABM. I don't even know, 20 courses with them. I've taken about 5. I need to get through the rest. Mindset Institute with Daniel Siegel, interpersonal neurobiology, the attachment lifespan, and then we have disorganized attachment and dissociative identity disorder, plus consciousness and change, which I'm doing right now. And I need to finish the other 2 up. But DID and disorganized attachment, I got to get through all of that. And then I also have updated 3 in-depth trauma courses with NICBM, if not 4. And I recently did one that was specializing in dissociative, not identity dissociative disorder, because it gets misdiagnosed. So I support people on personal development, but if I ever get somebody that I need to say, hey, you know what, we want to go check out a good therapist. I have a network because, if we have consciousness barriers or memory barriers, the neurosciences and neurobiologists and the in-depth good therapist community is who we want to work with. So I'm a holistic practitioner. I'm a Reiki master. I'm a tarot card reader. I'm an Akashic record reader. I am serious about supporting you to be yourself. Most people don't want to be their self. Again, they want to bust myths about self-love. They even don't know what it means to be beyond the solo self because they have, yes, their 1 year old is not let out to play. They don't have secure attachment with their 1 year old yet. I do. Thanks, Mom. I wasn't fear mongered, and I have a twin. I'm also a lover of humanity and Jesus. Thanks, Jesus. Give me a high five. Jesus and God taught me all about not projecting and not casting a stone and not using my mouth to actually, in any way, shape, or form, think grandiosity or shame. So I know how to stand here. Thanks, Terry Real. I have healthy self-worth. That's why I'm an empowered woman. And that's why I know that men can be just as empowered without shame. No shame. They have shame, they're going to be subjects to somebody. And they're going to also fall for conspiracy theories. And there's our Pinocchios with the ears and the tails on those islands. And go watch Hangover and Mean Girls and keep thinking that that is what life is all about. Okay, so the journey, your mission, your awakening and ascension, by the way, all of it. Yes, when you don't forget that you are consciousness, it's your whole 3-year-old heart. You meet all your twin flames, all your soulmates. You already know your spirituality, mission, and journey. You don't need to be awakened. Now, other people, that's a different story, but I'm going to leave that alone because what I love even more is when I see teenagers actually not allowing themselves to remember that spirituality, like Reiki, is energy and it's philosophy. What I love about science is that I learn about sciences from the good people and that they do explain a lot of what is within the spirituality plane. And the one thing that they also do is dispel actual myths, like you being demonically possessed. They dispel that. Thank you, Patrick McNamara, a neuroscientist, with your studies, because you're going to help people to understand how religious and decentralization of the self and those nightmares, it's not to exclude our lovely imagination plane, our mind's eye, or that there's all these other ideas of the matrix and the mind being what creates consciousness. Again, the academics call it the hard problem of consciousness for a reason. We don't need to go off into a spiral of conspiracies, which is what 4D does. 3D just, they think we're out. They just think hell's coming down, and let's leave that one alone. But when you talk to common sense folk, they have left and right. We can talk about mysticism, spirituality, and that's what I do, and human subject matters, and expand versus create hypotheticals to try and, what is the word? I'm going to leave that one alone. Okay, so long story short, consciousness knows that we are consistently expanding, and a 5D person is Christ consciousness because we have integration of the brain. People who want to grow up, they know how to do this, and they know how to get out of the grandiosity and out of shame. It's because they do either good therapy and reclaim their inner child, reparent them, and then they're ready to rock and roll and be kind, and that's because of integration of the brain. So when you're a restorative embodiment, like I am, then you're going to have fun in life, and you can feel what Sadhguru feels. Yoga, by the way, is a portfolio of ventral vagal nervous system toning exercises. I eat my words. I like to speed up. I will do this again and again and again. And if you have questions, ask. But I don't do this how to. I use titles so that I am knowing you would know about the material that you're going to come watch. I'm not doing titles in an effort to teach you about spirituality or to teach you about consciousness. I'm having conversations. And so again, grown-ups know how to ask because they're curious. Hey, Maria, you mind talking a little bit more about this thing or that thing? If you want a how-to, then you say, hey, Maria, I would love a how-to. That's the Ask Maria paid subscription-based model content on our lovely podcast. And then once we get to our 1K on YouTube, the first membership opportunity will be that. Okay, now let's move forward. Again, consciousness. It's a word that people don't understand. You don't need to understand it. Look at it as energy and flow. Be focused on getting yourself to your 0-1-year-old and being happy here, and you'll understand more. And we'll keep talking about all these topics. So, again, this is also going to be a little bit of channeled guidance, FYI. So I mix it up because there are some major energies around. Now, unlike 4D, who keep on just using the same structure, once you figure out that you have 12 months and your cycle, yours, not other people. There's a beautiful saying in Naples, Italy, who does for themselves does for three. I got taught it because I'm a person who's a nurturer. So I'm a divine feminine, which means I'm always going to try and support anyone around me. And my mother taught me how not to be the mother of other kids, especially my twin. So I learned how to mind my own business, and I kept learning it. So I learned how to continue to mind my own business. Okay, so that's why I have no shame, and I do have a sense of control and a sense of predictability. Well, I mean, here's where if you see any shaky, I'm planning on not pausing us, but earthquakes, yes, I'm on a super volcano. What I love about La Dolce Vita, Naples, Italy, is that it really keeps you on your toes. I have 24 hours, my lovely viewers, at this point, and if I don't show up again, I know that I left something positive today, which is you can be yourself and be loving and kind thanks to integration of the brain. And that is the biggest thing that I love. Also knowing that there's good mental health professionals that are going to help every person who wants to have heaven in their body, which is actually something that Sadhguru, if only he got psych educated, he would know. But he does say, he says yoga is not about reaching heaven, it's about getting heaven in here. So he knows intuitively, he knows what he's talking about. He just didn't get the educational stuff. I'm the human translator. So I love that I know that if I disappear, not that I want to, I don't want to go anywhere. I tell consciousness all the time, I don't want to die. I don't like it. I don't want to go. I like living life. So long story short, though, it keeps you on your toes. And that's one of the reasons I love the city, though. They're all heart. Naples, all heart. They're passionate. They hug. They touch. All of it in respectful ways. And now we're getting people who don't want, you to hug them. And I get it. Because, again, some people, they don't have a good relationship with humans. I do. And for those people, I hope they all get good therapy because it's nice when you can feel comfortable to be yourself. This is your 3-year-old energy body that lives within you. Thank you, Daniel Siegel. So again, the academics and the researchers are the ones that I have learned from in the past couple of years. So I know that my nervous system wants a sense of control and a sense of predictability. So when I have these earthquakes happen, my body doesn't like it. It gets scared. My mind has been put at ease. And I have asked tarot. I have asked our lovely guides, and I know that it's all going to be okay, but my rational mind also knows that no matter how you're going to balance it out, it's unknown. And that's the exact part. The right brain is what deals with that unknown, uncertainty, and unwanted. And the left is what chit chat. So every time it happens, I just say, "Hey, Maria, you're living. You could, the roof could fall off, and you're not in anywhere with earthquakes, and you still would die. So, let's not worry. Thank you, Marcus Aurelius. That's who taught me how not to worry about things that I can't do anything about. And FYI, this is what came through for my lovely mystics out there. There's a lot of energies around. You're all expanding. The ones of you who are expanding, you're going to know this. And the ones who don't expand, they just do another karma wheel, but that's okay. They won't notice the difference. They're on Elsa's journey, and it's not as fun as it is to be over here, but we're going to leave them alone because, like Patrick Tiahan, he's a lovely trauma therapist, childhood trauma survivor, healed and healing. His biggest regret was his childhood made him unkind. He shares with his community how there's a minority of people who want to do emotional lifting. I agree, Patrick. I agree. They come to me not to do the personal development. No. Also, by the way, I don't want to do personal development after doing good therapy, MDR, child part work, and somatics. Yeah, and then you have also therapists who are consistently bringing forth their own rejection, abandonment, injustice, betrayal, shame wounds. So you will be able to notice who has a wound because of the way that they will share with you their message. And that's where the 5D Collective, we have our own little echo chamber. It's going to be always with sciences and spirituality. They're one and in the same. Human and spirit, one and the same. You get home to yourself. You expand the window of tolerance if you have any stuff going on. It's called you move out of dysregulated, modulated, and you move into restorative embodiment of self, you. Okay, so people who want to remain ignorant and think yoga brings demons out of you, that's their stuff. And people who don't understand that Jesus is about love, God is about love, again, that's their stuff. It's not for us to be picky about. Who gives a shit? Meaning that if they don't understand it, it's not about not giving a shit. Spirituality is living beyond the solo self. We're heard. Does anybody know about Sid and Manny and Diego? So is it a big deal for you that somebody wants to believe that yoga brings demon? No, for me, I don't care. But I know that I'm here for the 5D mystics. And I'm here for the people who want to grow up. Like a Peter Pan. You stay Peter Pan, but you're better than a Peter Pan because you don't believe in the bullshit. And I didn't think social media would actually create all these echo chambers. But then again, it makes sense because I remember teenagers and their rumors. So I'm an online marketer. Social media didn't make anything worse, which is what I keep sharing with people. It just made things highlighted in a way that I already had seen as a teenager. There were rumors about one of the girls of our group, and the rumors were completely untrue. Her boyfriend even broke up with her. Oh, and I'm polyamory. Because, see, right here, the fact that a boyfriend would break up with a girlfriend as a young adolescent teenager because of the rumor of her having been sleeping around. Really, what year is this? Oh, and I did see this guy. He's great. There's a guy online. He does some really great something professional speaker. I forget, but anyways, I love him. And he was showing a video of this young man who was talking about, you think we want moms as wives, but we don't. But we would like to have women that are like our moms who stay at home and clean. And I'm just like, what? Wow. So we have a lot to be humored with, my lovely IHP community. Okay, and I get to be, again, the woo-woo pseudoscience lady, but I'm integrating what is most important is that any one of you can, one, be yourself. And for those of you who do have spirituality in the forefront because you have ascension and awakening and things going on, again, come on over here. Let's have fun. Let's not get distorted with any of the other stuff that's going on out there. So when a nervous system is in a constant state of defensiveness, control is a warm blanket because they have difficulty dealing with uncertainty. 4D are spiritual bypassers, the holistic spiritual bypassers, the therapist spiritual bypassers. They are people who have not healed their maladaptive child behavior. And we don't need to affect their states of consciousness, but also you won't. Because when a maladaptive meets me and I meet them, I will talk to them and they will talk to me. So I'm a Pacha and they're a Cusco, okay? We respect people and differences. We don't need to do anything about it. And here's where, as I integrate and don't want to make it too long, again, you don't forget your consciousness because it's you. Use your name, please. And you with a whole self. That's when you're going to be consciousness. My recent course with Daniel Siegel, Consciousness and Change. I don't feel changed. I feel more myself than ever. I remember when I got into the Enlightenment Soul Age group because it fit like a little click, the energetic spectrum. I know about mental, emotion, physical mastery because I'm an Akashic record reader. And I also have all those active clairs, which I know the neuroscience community can explain. It doesn't mean we have to use only them, but it does mean that we want to understand that spirituality and sciences is like this. This is what we're going to do here, okay? So we are not canceling anything out. That's only for people who need to have control because they don't have trust. That's because they're not in their prefrontal cortex. They don't have access to their inner child. They have attachment wounds still, whether it be rejection, abandonment, or injustice, betrayal, or shame, or humiliation. That's an inner child that wants this. You know what an inner child does when their actual attachment figure shares with them any type of criticism? Okay? So here's where I have no shame. I told you, I have no shame. My 3-year-old comes up with my mother. This is the only person, and my twin, because that's exactly why they say trauma. You're reactive until you begin to work with your own reactivity, which I began to work with my tone, and I learned by just starting to shut up. Because there really was no other way for me to do anything. I tried a lot of different things before I figured out, you know what, you're just going to need to just be quiet because that's the only way. So pausing. And I'm 44 and I still will have moments where I'm reactive. So resourcing, I'm going to use something from Ebony Webb, and this is my notes, so it won't be organized completely, but I'm going to try and share why, for me, I have no issue telling my lovely mother, thank you for sharing, I disagree, I'm going to keep doing me. That's because she allowed me to do that as a child, okay? So I didn't get scolded, I didn't get humiliated, I didn't get rejected, I didn't get any of those attachment wounds, but I also knew how to stand up for myself at the age of 3. So my driver, my dominant driver, is self-agency. And that's what created my temperament. Thank you, Daniel Siegel. So when you learn about attachment categories, you learn that we each have one. They're not fixed. And then that your drives, which we all have again, he uses 3. Bonding, certainty, and self-agency. Depending on which is more dominant, your temperament will come forth. Self-agency is my dominant one. The emotion of anger is what comes with self-agency. Now, most people don't see me getting angry, and I've explained to people why. I don't suppress my anger. I don't like to be reactive because I know that I'm dumbed down physically. It's not about me not having, no, I have emotions. I just don't need to bring it out like that. There's no reason because anger, thank you again, Daniel Siegel, is about correction, and the past already happened. There's nothing to correct. So my emotional response is unnecessary. It's exaggerated. It's a 3-year-old. And it's Kali and Shiva comes in, and then Krishna Lila, which is my prefrontal cortex, let me get curious about what just happened instead of assume. Okay, so when you don't forget, again, that you are consciousness, right here, I'm present. You are always living spirituality. This is why there is no mission. My mission is to be Maria. I'm being myself right now, and then I can contribute to the world beyond the solo self because I support people to be their self and say, yep, self-help is very important, but only if you want to do emotional lifting and shut the mouth up and stop with the bullshit stories and do good educational material versus the echo chambers of La La Land, which are all fear-mongering. And seriously, I don't even know. I didn't think the 4D would stick around. And here's where I'm a divine feminine. I'm a divine feminine with my own divine masculine, but what I'm saying is from my oversoul, I'm a divine feminine. You try to take one of my life pieces away, I'm going to be like, shoo. The only way that you're going to have me come to meet what it is to basically say, let's give up on a life, I won't. I actively will never, ever, ever have given up on a life. You're asking... It's like asking a person to rip their heart out of your chest, and literally this is how it feels. And that's why when you do meet the good divine masculines, they help you to actually learn how to handle it from the left mode though, but that's only because they get this, they understand this, and so then they speak with words that help you to understand. And this is the beauty. It's a tango. It's an amazing tango because that's where I, as a divine feminine, have always known my weakness. I'm a nurturer. I won't be able to give up on you. And that's actually, to me, one of the most beautiful things that any person, if you're spiritual, this is the point, you're beyond the solo self. So here, I'm gonna get emotional right now. And I'm gonna try not to. When I did Shambhavi Kriya with Sadhguru, and I didn't need Sadhguru to do what he had us do because I already had Jesus and God tell me we're all brothers and sisters. But he had us at the end or before we began, one by one, say that we would welcome and hold space and be able to love like a mother all of those 8 billion and growing people. And I got teary eyed and I was on camera and I'm like, okay, we need to, they're watching you. And it's like, yeah, but this is beautiful. And then second after, I was like, I wonder how many people are going to remember that they made this promise. Are they going to keep their promise? Because he made us promise. I keep my promises because I'm an inner child. Because I'm going to hold my heart body, my belly body, and here's where I'm not going to compromise my consciousness because of some bullshit story about evil, Knievel, medieval, and I look in your eyes, you're a human. There ain't no Knievel, medieval. No, there's a person. Thank you, attachment, trauma, information, individuals. They're the ones who support me to know that human suffering love narrative, Pinocchios, Peter Pans, thank you, Patrick Jehan. They're all the ones who don't want to do the emotional lifting. They're the cowardice people. Now, we do all know that they didn't have a good upbringing. Okay, so the mental health people that care, we know, I got it. I understand all of my good therapists that they teach. Don't worry, Maria, their body's leading them. So some of us, we get really passionate about helping people to get home to themselves. And they remind us you cannot force it. If they don't want to welcome the 3-year-old, they're going to keep on rejecting. That 16-year-old is going to lead the way. And the 16-year-old, in fact, is the asshole. Excuse me, if the 16-year-olds, I remember meeting all the adolescents. All of them are unsafe, and any person, in fact, who's not an emotionally, mentally mature human being is unsafe because the minute they get in their dysregulated nervous system, they're just doing things like shame, blame, fault, revenge, a little spiteful, blah, blah, blah. So it's not any entity. It is an active 0-1-year-old, and then we got a 3 to 7, and they're reliving some traumatic and more experience, which is why the spiritual bypassers in 4D land really don't help people, but it's okay. We're going to support people by being pachas, secure attachment, and empowered women, men, and theys. We go here, and we're somatic empaths. So we don't have to be therapists. We can do our own personal development, support our herd like Sid, Manny, and Diego, talk to people's faces without any equation, or you better bet anytime anyone's wanted to bring something to me, I have no deal with letting them know. I try to wait, and sometimes that's the part where people are like, maybe you weren't clear. You know what, you're right. Maybe I wasn't. I'll have to try and be clearer again. And then there are people who say, you repeat yourself a lot. And I say, yeah, because apparently when I speak, it doesn't get heard by the maladaptive child ears. So I need to repeat and figure out how to repeat what I just said 3 minutes ago because they're not taking what I spoke. Okay. And so we all feel that way sometimes, but I'm not misunderstood in a way of, oh my God, they didn't understand me. It's more of, let me think. Do I need to make it that direct? I guess I'm just going to have to be a cold bitch, maybe an evil witch. Who knows? But I will do it if I have to. And on that note, energies. So when you're expanding, yes, the people around you, they will feel that. And like a child who grabs on to the leg of their parent and is afraid for some reason, one or another, and that actually it's not one or the other. It's because you're a person and I'm a person. You can walk away and I can walk away. And it's called primal attachment panic. As a polyamory person, I know all about it. Not because I've experienced it. No, because I'm a securely attached 1-year-old. I don't need you to live. I need air, water, and food. That's all I need. So you want to leave, you can leave. Twin flames, you can be a soulmate. You can be whoever you want. You better bet that you find a self-agent driver 1-year-old. Ciao. See you later, alligator. Have fun. I'm going to have compersion for you. That's it. I'm not going to chase you, and you're not going to chase me. That's ridiculous. It's called also not what love is all about. Love is easy. Love is expansive. Love is beautiful. We're going to talk about that one. Okay, so let me get to Ebony for a minute. So, shame. Shame is our social emotion, orienting emotion for those who have it. So those who have it, though, they remain a 1 year old who doesn't know how to free themselves of these shackles, if you will. It is a process and it's an inner journey. So when I get to say no to my mother, to this day, she is still my mother. And my 1 year old still lives in me, as well as my 3 to 7 year old. The difference is I have a mother who is in favor of me being an independent, free, loving soul. And so, for as much as she will come with her opinion, she will not impose her opinion. That's because she likes to let people be themselves too. And so that's the part of where the equation is different for every one of us from our childhoods. Okay, so I wasn't fear mongered into having to be anything different. I was left alone and I get to argue my way. And so, like a child, I still will. She's the only person who, in fact, will have ever, if in all my years, had an impact in such a way that I learned to move beyond. And that makes sense because she's the secure attachment figure, which is also why every one of us has that dynamic. So you will have your karma stuff if you are a person who is growing with your family, and then you do dharma. And again, these are not set in stone anything. These are my food for thought for you, and you ask questions if you want anything specific for you again, or if you're just curious, you say, okay, can you do an episode? I'm curious about this, and we'll see if I can. Okay, so Ebony Webb, Psych D, this is from one of my courses with NICA BAM, and she's talking about this shame emotion, and it's, a social orienting emotion. Some people believe we need it. I don't, because when you are spirituality, you live beyond the solo self. That's also what I'm here to say and share. But I have a twin, so I learned how to share. Okay, so by having another human around me, I consistently learned how to mentally and emotionally share and not feel defective. Okay, so comparing to me isn't equal to defectiveness. It's also why Divine Feminine knows, again, I need a Divine Masculine. Why? Because that Divine Masculine has a way to see that expands my eyes. My eyes are what expand because my brain is what expands, because the food for thought is what expands. But that needs to be an intellectually savvy human being who's also emotionally mature, in an effort for them to be a consistent expansion of consciousness themselves. They have moods and they go into a I'm going to close myself off. They're going to come in and out, which is what we have when we have people with attachment wounds. Okay. So shame, it shines a light like a prism through all the different states of being and identity, and it is significant to talk about. And for example, envy and shame, gender conventions, are all around expectations. So when we see women, for example, we have religion and we have these gender roles, right, that involve envy, jealousy, shame. And I'm done reading because that way we can move into our next topic, and we'll do something with empowered women. But the part about how to handle shame is within yourself. So if you learn to be your own piece of consciousness, it's because you learn to be the whole self of you. By being yourself, you get to feel a lot different about the world outside. And that's because you know that your contribution to the world is you. Thank you, said Guru. And how you live, how joyful you are, everything has an impact. Now, to do this, you need to be the one who notices, do my emotions overwhelm me? Do I still have a window of tolerance? Do I project my human suffering out there? And how can I look at my home to notice what I'm doing? But also, the good attachment education informs you of how important the attachment category is, and that it takes time for you to reduce the trauma charges, the trauma memory. And this is just the basics. So if there's fragmentation and rupture, then we have even more aspects. That's what the consciousness barriers and memory barriers are there to protect you, because if you were frightened, your 1 year old had to adapt, and that emotional body was disconnected, which is why it's so freaking scary. Which is, as Patrick Tiahan points out, the first time a person goes to therapist for real and begins to understand, it's like a breakdown. I don't know that because I have a whole inner child. I know the truth of consciousness, and that being you is the alchemy of that lovely spirituality journey. Okay, so you don't need a twin flame, you don't need yoga either. And at least that's for us in 2024, because we have spirituality and sciences coming together. It's really amazing. So you're always on your spirituality journey. Awakening to yourself means awakening to your inner child, first of all. Ascension is about your energy body, which involves your emotional body, which involves your lovely brain. And so if what comes up has non bilateral integration, you need to learn to pause. That might require you a good number of sessions within a therapist's room. But what it also, and primarily, everything, put all of that aside, self awareness. Self awareness, self reflection, and then taking neuroscience, neurobiology, and the updated psychology information seriously. And so, not going on screen and being like, they told me that I'm doing a really great job with meditating already and journaling. I'm not going to do it because we're all fucked up, aren't we? Okay, so no, no, nobody's fucked up. Nobody's broken. You're not a broken person. No human being. Human suffering is an existence for those who have attachment wounds. Their 0 1 year old is crying out bloody murder. They're 3 year old and they don't want to go get healed. Okay, so IHP for people who want to get healed. Pacha is okay with Cusco bullshitting his way into Pacha's life because Cusco is going to grow up and become a member of the herd. And here's where divine masculines are supportive to divine feminine. We're all imperfect. And some of us are a little bit less maybe imperfect because we care beyond the solo self. So it's when you care about others and the well being, and that's where you'll notice the difference. If the story of people doesn't support our world, our ecosystem, which involves animals, air, humans are involved. Anyone who's a misanthropist and they hate, dislike, and distrust humans, they need a good therapist because they're uncomfortable with our own species. I told this to teenagers. Now I'm a grown up. Now I have attachment trauma information. And I'm still going to hear the 4D, 3D. No, Maria, it's demons that are coming out of the earth now. The volcanoes, they're going to explode because we're being bad. Okay, so La Dolce Vita, again, if I disappear, just remember one thing. Let's love each other. The inner child of you is just waiting to come out and play. And I look forward to being back with more. Ask your questions. Have a great day.